G'day there guys, embarrassingly bad at taking his own advice here. It's your main Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbecue, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Thank you. Our first post is by user AmiTheA Drew Wah, titled, Am I the a-hole for sabotaging my little brother's food on purpose? So, my little brother is 18, and I'm 20. I'm staying with my family for the holidays and thought it'd be a nice time, but I forgot that they treat me like a housekeeper. I do almost all the chores, and I don't mind if it's my chores. Obviously, if I notice the dishwasher's full, I empty it. If I cook, I clean up. If I make a mess, I clean up. However, if my little brother makes a mess, he makes me clean up. If I refuse and tell him to do it himself, he tells my parents and they side with him and just bug me until I do it. My brother also asks me to cook for him. He pulls out brownie mix and is like, make this. And I'm always like, sure, I can make it, but you have to help. He gets mad and says, I helped by taking out the box. And when I refuse to make stuff for him or tell him to make it himself, he'll throw a fit and tell our parents. Lately, he keeps asking me to make stuff and I get frustrated going back and forth about why he can't make shit himself or just ask our parents. So I make the food he asks, but I always add stuff he doesn't like. Coincidentally, he hates a ton of stuff that I love to eat. So if he asks for brownies and refuses to help, I put nuts in it. He hates them and I like them. He came over to see the brownies and got mad at me and told me he hated nuts and can't eat the brownies anymore. I just said, too bad. Make it yourself next time or help me and tell me not to put nuts in. I thought he'd learned his lesson to at least help, but he keeps asking for stuff and I just keep putting stuff in that he doesn't like. He finally got fed up and said he's not eating because I keep making stuff with stuff that he doesn't like. I just shrugged and told him to make his own food then. He told my parents, of course, and they just told me to stop being an asshole and make food for him. It was my last day at home, so I just told them to make food for him if they're so concerned before I left. Now my parents are upset with me, and my brother is angry with me, and I'm wondering if I was too petty. I don't think you were being too petty in this situation. I feel like it was the right amount of petty. It was like a justified petty kind of thing, if that makes sense. If he's not going to help out, he doesn't deserve any of the rewards from something that he wanted. That should just be common sense in this situation, and I don't think this brother has any right to be attacking you when he refuses to help. I'm just going to keep repeating that same point because that's really the gist of the situation here. You had it bang on in your post here, and this brother needs to grow some balls and cook with you. What's so hard about that? Why do people not want to cook with others? If you want something, you go and earn it. You don't just ask them to do it, and there is no trade here. It's got to be a fair trade. Not the a-hole OP. Santigold23 says, not the a-hole. When I was reading, I thought your brother was like 5, then I went back and realized he was 18? Thank God you're out of there. It sounds like your parents have really different standards for the two of you, and much higher expectations on you. I'm guessing this is gender-based, though you didn't mention it. Anyway, I think this is hilarious, and you should consider putting it in r/malicious compliance. Your brother is legally an adult, and certainly old enough to handle making a box of brownie mix, and he's way past the point where he can stand to learn that if he wants something done a certain way, he can do it himself. Not the a-hole, and well played. Yeah, 3 sentences in, I went, oh, OP's a girl, isn't she? Not the a-hole. He sounds like an idiot. Why would your parents expect you to cater to him? Your parents are a-holes for allowing your brother to be such an entitled little turd. You were definitely not the a-hole. Why do your parents baby him? That's nauseating. And Togar Sucks says, not the a-hole. Reading the title, I was thinking otherwise because you just don't F with someone's food. But you're not the asshole at all. Your brother is an entitled brat who should be more than capable of making food for himself at his age. You know what's in the food, and so does he. He just chooses not to eat it. Honestly, You should make it a rule with your parents going forward that you will not be coming to their house anymore unless they make it clear you will not be expected to cook for your brother. And now I ask you guys, do you guys think OP was a female in this story and that's why this is happening? Or do you think, it could have been a guy and there's just a stupid 18-year-old that is entitled to food that they don't want to make? And what experiences have you had before with things like this? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Our next post is by user Snowballs and Carrots, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my friend what did she expect when she got pregnant? Sorry, on mobile. I, 18 female, went to high school with this girl S, 18 female, and we're both currently in college together. For a little background on S, she was obsessed and determined to lose her V-card before 18, which didn't happen, but she got close with some guy that she met online. Months later, she starts talking to this guy at her work, M, 28 male, who pays a bit too much attention to her. At first, she claimed it was a friendly thing, but we all kinda told her it's unlikely a 28-year-old wants to be friends with an 18-year-old. S was not popular in high school, and didn't date. Not her choice, but neither did anyone in our friend group. So, they started going to the gym together, and one day they did it at the park. Then she started to do it again with him in the privacy of his home. Turns out, he's engaged. We don't know the girl's name, but he straight up told her that he's engaged and won't leave his fiancée. She continued anyway, and sorta hoped he would. We all met up to celebrate finishing this first semester. My town is doing great with COVID, and it was only the 4 of us. And one of us brought beer, which is legal here. She starts drinking, and after 1 beer, she reveals to us she's pregnant. Our other friend says, "Should you be drinking?" And S said, "Doesn't matter, I'm not keeping it." S has always said she never wanted kids. She told us M hates condoms and wouldn't use them. One of us asks if she was on the pill. Our school was good at teaching sex ed and contraceptives. And she says no, that she didn't think it'd happen. This is where I may be the a-hole, because I say, what did you think was going to happen? She got all mad at me and said I wasn't supporting her and berated me for my comments. After she was done, I told her she could stay with me. I'd drive her to the clinic so her mum wouldn't find out, which she was super adamant about. I'm trying not to be super judgmental, especially in the moment, because I just see her as someone who got taken advantage of. We did warn her about him, and while you may think she's learned her lesson, she didn't. She's talking about seeing him again, mostly for money for the appointment, and seeing where it goes. Am I the a-hole? Why would you saying "what did she expect" be an a-hole-ish thing to say? Like, yeah, the truth may hurt her feelings there, but in this situation, that saying the truth like that, I don't think it makes you an a-hole. What did you expect when you keep sleeping with someone that's 10 years older than you, and is engaged, and is not going to break their engagement? Did you expect them to break that engagement? What do you expect when you don't use condoms? Did you really not expect to get pregnant? Because it's not perfect. Yeah, a lot of people can get away with it, but, you roll the dice every time. You roll the dice enough times, you're gonna get snake eyes. It's just the way of the world. I wouldn't count you as the a-hole in this situation, OP. I think what you did was fair, and I think that's a fair evaluation of your friends, not the a-hole. Slithery Pringle says, I thought that was a valid question, so not the a-hole. Seriously though, at 18, you are too old to not take your sex life and well-being seriously. There could be other women involved. Obviously, aside from the fiancé, which increases the risks of contracting STIs. Jesus, that guy's wife. This dude is going around sleeping with girls. Let's face it, it's unlikely S is the only one with no protection. She could get so many diseases from him. I'm a fan of minding your own business, but I hope someone in the office tips off the wife for her safety. Not the a-hole. Your friend needs a babysitter still. Sounds like the friend has a lot of maturing to do. She's with a guy who is knowingly engaged, who doesn't like to wear condoms when they have sex, So she is not even on the pill either, therefore she gets pregnant. Even if she gets an abortion and she decides to go back to the poor excuse of a man, she's gonna get pregnant again, and it's gonna happen again. OP is a good friend for not just sitting back and trying to tell the friend some honest truth about her situation. And Bravo is over says, not the a-hole. Technically you're right. What did she expect not protecting herself at all? But although she may not currently be affected by what's happening, she may eventually be affected. Terminating a pregnancy has the potential to be a life-changing experience. Please be patient with her. She has a lot to process. The age difference, him potentially preying on her, the fact that she doesn't want to protect her or himself, and the fact he's engaged is, or could, weigh on her. Also, please encourage her to get checked for STIs as well. Good luck. And OP replies, that was my first thought. STDs. I think she's doing a screening when she goes to the appointment. I'll remind her if not. Our next post is by user SurplusC696, titled, Am I the a-hole if I clapped back too hard? So, a buddy of mine has been making comments about mine and another's friends' weight for about a year now. Bear in mind, neither of us are obese, but absolutely we are bigger boys. Time after time, I've politely told him to stop making these jokes and comments because it's uncalled for, and he's the only one who finds it funny. Every single time we've called him out, he gave the same excuse. I just don't know how to talk to people. I never mean it in a bad way, etc. Well, recently he made a remark about me again, and I decided to finally take a shot back. He's been dating a new girl every other week for a few months now. So when he shot at me, I said, "Hey man, you still dating that girl? She's about a week past expiration." And he lost it. Now the friend group is divided like a damn divorced family. Am I in the wrong here, or did I have a right to finally fire back? I think you had a right to fire back in this situation. I mean, it's a little bit of a dick thing in this situation to say that, but I think it was justified for you to have said that. You don't need to give an excuse for saying that because he's been firing at you. I think it's fair to fire back in some instances. If he's going to make comments about you being bigger boys and obese for about a year now, why didn't he expect retaliation from that? If I were to ever call someone obese, I'd more than expect them to fire back at me. I'm going in with the expectation of, starting a little, exchange if I'm going to make comments like that. I think what both of you guys are doing here, it's childish, but it's not unexpected. I'm going to give you the pass on this one and say not the a-hole. Maximum System 7819 says, everyone sucks here. The reason I think you're a bit of an a-hole is that your burn was aimed at the girl more than him. If you're gonna clap back, aim better. I kind of took it to mean that she's a week past his expiration. That is, he moves to another girl after a week, and OP is calling him out on it. I get the burn was intended to be a slight at the friends, but the joke is that the women he chooses spoil like food. It just doesn't work. At the very least, it pulls the woman well into the burn. Maybe try, isn't she sick of you yet? Or, aren't we at the week where she sees past your physique to your personality? Etc., etc. If you give her agency, he becomes the butt of the joke more readily. Post doesn't say that the woman was there though. Just that the friend has a revolving door of girlfriends, and I feel like it was a pretty good and justified burn. Friend obviously thinks his crap don't stink, and takes it out on just about everyone else. F that guy. Also, I almost wouldn't blame OP for saying such a thing in front of said lady. She deserves to know. Friend is totally the a-hole here. I would say not the a-hole. You don't have to take shit from people just because they're your friends. Personally, I think making fun of someone's weight is worse than what you said. Not the a-hole, you've asked him repeatedly not to joke like that because it bothers you, and his excuse is he doesn't know how to talk to people? Well, he should take the hint and not insult them if they don't like it, and especially if he can't take it. Not the a-hole. If you can't take crap, don't throw it. If he's apologizing but doing it again later, it's not an apology, it's an appeasement. That being said, we don't know how sensitive you guys are about your respective insults. If you're confident in your weight and the comment doesn't affect you much, but your friend is really sensitive about how he can't seem to lock down a girlfriend, you're the a-hole. If you're really sensitive about your body image and your friend is okay with not locking down a girlfriend, not the a-hole. It all comes down to if you knew your comment would be intensely painful, and if he knew comments about your body are intensely painful. And OP makes their own comment, that says, I'd like to say that yes, me and my buddy both aren't comfortable with the weight comments, especially since I've been trying to make the better choices to get healthier lately. However, he has never expressed any insecurities or anger over comments about relationships before. We all make jokes about each other's relationships regularly, and it has always seemed like everyone else just brushed it off easily. So what do you guys reckon for story 3? Do you think it's an everyone sucks here, you're the a-hole, or a not the a-hole instance? Because I can see, obviously, fair arguments for all 3. I'm still sticking to my not the a-hole judgment here. I feel like after a year of bullying from someone, you're more than welcome to fire back. That is just way too long a time to not stand up for yourself. I don't know, it'd be ridiculous to be bullied for that long. I'm sticking by it, not the a-hole. And our last post is by user Broken Trust A-hole, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit for my brother and sister-in-law after they previously told me they don't trust me? So I, 28 male, have an older brother, 31 male, and sister-in-law, 30 female, who have a 3-year-old son, and sister-in-law is about 7 months pregnant with their second child. I am a single man in my 20s, and I live by myself. As such, I live a fairly typical bachelor lifestyle. I enjoy going out to bars and clubs. In the past, I've attended music festivals and dabbled in drug use, and I do not apologize for it. It's the way I'm choosing to live my life right now. But I'm also working full-time for a Fortune 500 company and making well over 6 figures. All in all, I'd like to think that I have my stuff together pretty well for a person my age. When my brother and sister-in-law had their first kid, sister-in-law pretty much told me that in no uncertain terms that she would never trust me to watch her son by myself. She told this to me completely on her own, and when I asked my brother about it, he pretty much just sided with her and shrugged. Now, I admit that some aspects of my lifestyle are not kid-friendly, but I also understand there's a time and place for everything, and I would never do anything to put my nephew in any compromised situation. I have never pressed the topic with my sister-in-law or my brother, and until recently, it has never been a problem. A few weeks ago, my brother called me in the middle of the night and asked if I could watch their son. Sister-in-law was having stomach pains, and they needed to go to the hospital, but they had no one else to watch their son. Sister-in-law's parents were quarantined after COVID exposure, and every other option they had couldn't do it. I was literally a last resort. I asked if sister-in-law was okay with it, and my brother said she didn't know he was asking me, and he was desperate. I told him the only way I would be okay with it is if sister-in-law asked me herself, because I didn't want to cause an issue. My brother told me they didn't have time, and they would drop off my nephew on the way to the hospital in an hour. When they got to my apartment, I went down to meet them, and sister-in-law saw me and recognized where they were, and started screaming at my brother. She started yelling questions at me like whether or not I have drugs on the counter, or if I have a girl up there with me. So I told my brother that I'm sorry, but this wasn't going to work. I told him I love him and hope everything works out, and I told sister-in-law the same, but she ignored me and told my brother to take her to the hospital. Everything at the hospital ended up being okay, and sister-in-law and baby are healthy. She wasn't going into early labor, and they were back home the next day. However, my brother called me after that and said I was a huge asshole for not helping. I said it wasn't really my decision, as sister-in-law made it pretty clear in the moment that she didn't want her son staying with me. He said I should have just taken my nephew, as sister-in-law was in no condition to make a rational decision. My mum called me the other day and said I should apologize to my brother and sister-in-law for what I did, but I don't think I was even in the wrong. Was I an asshole for not helping them? I feel like this is one of those situations where genuinely, no matter what OP says and does, this was going to happen regardless. I don't feel like there's anything that OP could have said or done when that woman arrived with her child to OP's place that would have convinced her that it was okay to have the child there. Could be a little crazy here, but I think it's genuinely a little misogynistic to have said that she's in no condition to make a rational decision. I think if they had time to stop off at his house before going to the hospital, there was time for her to make a rational decision here. Genuinely, it speaks to me in this situation that the brother is just trying to force a decision on both of the OP and his wife. That's not fair on everyone or anyone in this situation. Sister-in-law holds so much resentment for OP for the way they choose to live their life. Put any other race, nationality, or anything, and then start throwing stereotypes of that person's lifestyle or the supposed lifestyle at that person. Was any of that the sister-in-law said acceptable in those circumstances? Because I think it's genuinely comparable in situations like this. I trust the brother not to put this kid in harm's way. I trust the brother to look out for the child. I can understand if she doesn't trust this guy, but to continually attack him for that, and not just be nice about it and say, I don't want you looking after my kid, I'd prefer not to. I can see why she said those things to him. I don't agree with her saying those things to him. I think that's disgusting and rude. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole in this situation. Kinda rubs me the wrong way. Not the a-hole. That's insane. You literally were going to get screamed at and have been the bad guy no matter what you did. That's not fair to you at all. Yes, exactly. OP, you did the right thing, and honestly your brother and sister-in-law are the ones who owe you an apology. In fact, less your sister-in-law who already made her thoughts clear than your brother. Honestly, I think sister-in-law should thank OP for respecting her wishes instead of his brother's pleas. If she's going to continue having this irrational prejudice, she should at least be appreciative that OP isn't ignoring it even when his brother is telling him to. Exactly. She set a clear boundary. OP is not to watch her kids alone. OP is respecting that very clear boundary. He won't watch the kids alone unless it is the clear wish of sister-in-law. Honestly, good job respecting your sister-in-law, OP. Brother is the a-hole here for going behind his wife's back and trying to force her to cross her own lines. Not the a-hole. I personally believe you went about this the right way. You were willing to help, you knew sister-in-law wouldn't, so you asked for her permission. I don't think you owe anyone an apology. Yeah, at first I thought this would be a stubborn, oh, you said you didn't want me to thing, with the sister-in-law asking for help. But it obviously isn't at all. What the hell did this brother expect him to do? Take the kid while his mother was there screaming she didn't want him to? Both parents get a say and a veto in who can watch their child, and she clearly wasn't comfortable with it. Plus, the brother is saying that she wasn't thinking straight. Sister-in-law has always said she isn't comfortable with it. It's not new. Not the a-hole. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. What did you think of this one? And what do you think of people's comments? And what do you think of my stupid takes on situations like these? I'd love to know any and all information you have to share with me down in the comments below. I would love to know how your day is going. And as always, I want you to have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.